A compact generator can power essential appliances, but only when its actual output matches the demands of the devices connected to it. That sounds obvious, yet it is where most confusion begins. People see a small generator, battery unit, or home energy device and ask one broad question: can it power my house? But a house is not one electrical load. It is a collection of devices that consume very different amounts of energy, operate for different lengths of time, and sometimes demand a sudden burst of power just to start. During a blackout, that difference becomes impossible to ignore. At first, the situation may seem manageable. The lights go out, the television turns off, the internet disappears. People reach for a flashlight and assume the power will return soon. Then the outage continues. The refrigerator is no longer cooling. Phones begin losing charge. Communication becomes harder. Food may be at risk. Medication that requires temperature control becomes a concern. In cold or hot weather, the home can become uncomfortable quickly. That is when many people begin looking for a compact source of backup electricity. The first instinct is usually to plug in everything that feels important: a refrigerator, a microwave, several lights, a television, a router, a laptop, maybe a heater or air conditioner. Each choice seems reasonable by itself. The problem is that a compact generator does not evaluate emotional importance. It responds only to electrical demand. Every appliance requires a certain amount of power while it is operating. Some require very little. LED lights, phone chargers, and small communication devices may place a relatively light demand on a backup system. Other appliances require far more. Heating equipment, electric cooking devices, large air conditioners, and some pumps can consume substantial power. Even when a device does not use enormous amounts of electricity continuously, it may need a brief surge when it starts. A refrigerator is a common example. Once it is running, its electricity demand may be manageable for some compact systems. But when the compressor starts, the appliance may briefly require more power than it uses during normal operation. If the backup system cannot handle that starting demand, the refrigerator may fail to turn on even when the generator appears powerful enough on paper. This is where people often become frustrated. They compare the appliance's regular power use with the generator's advertised rating and assume the numbers match. They connect the device, hear the system strain, see an overload warning, or watch it shut down. Then they conclude that the generator is defective. Sometimes it is. But often the deeper problem is a mismatch between the generator's capabilities and the appliance's real behavior. A compact generator must manage two separate limits. The first is power output. This tells you how much electrical demand the system can support at one moment. The second is available energy. This determines how long the system can continue operating before it needs more fuel, sunlight, charging, or another energy source. These limits are related, but they're not the same. A system may be strong enough to run a refrigerator, but lack enough stored energy to keep it operating through a long outage. Another system may hold a useful amount of energy, but still be unable to start a high-demand appliance. The real issue isn't whether the generator is compact. It's whether its output, runtime, and intended load match the appliances you expect it to support. That changes how the system should be evaluated. Instead of asking whether it can power essential appliances, separate those appliances into actual needs. Lighting is one category, communication is another, food preservation is another. Medical support, where applicable, deserves its own careful consideration. Basic comfort is another. Once those needs are separated, the role of a compact generator becomes clearer. A small system may not replace the entire electrical grid. It may not run every appliance in the house at the same time. It may not support major heating, cooling, and cooking equipment for long periods, but it may still provide something extremely useful, a limited layer of electricity for selected priorities. That could mean keeping a few efficient lights on after dark. It could mean charging phones and maintaining access to communication. It could mean supporting a router, a small radio, or certain low-consumption devices. With sufficient output and available energy, it may also help keep refrigeration operating for part of an outage. The key word is selected. Backup power works best when the household decides what matters before the outage happens. Without that decision, people tend to connect devices in the order they notice them. A lamp goes on, then another. Someone plugs in a television. Another person starts charging a laptop. A kitchen appliance is added. The system may appear to work at first, then the refrigerator cycles on. Suddenly, the combined load exceeds what the generator can provide. The unit shuts down and every connected device loses power. Nothing was individually unreasonable. The problem was the total demand. This is similar to placing weight on a small shelf. One object may be light enough. Several objects may also seem manageable. But the shelf responds to the total weight, not the importance of each item. Compact power systems work the same way. Every connected device contributes to the total load. Runtime creates another layer of confusion. A generator or battery may successfully power several appliances for a short demonstration. That does not automatically tell you how it will perform during a 6-hour, 12-hour, or multi-day outage. A brief test proves that the system can operate under those conditions for that moment. It does not prove that the energy source will last long enough for the situation you are preparing for. That is why clear specifications matter. A practical evaluation should explain what supplies the energy, how the unit is recharged or refueled, how much continuous power it provides, whether it can handle startup surges, and how long it may run under different loads. The product page may describe a compact device as a way to reduce dependence on the grid, or provide electricity during emergencies. Those goals are understandable, but the actual value depends on how the system performs when connected to real household devices. Appearance cannot answer that question. Neither can a dramatic claim. The useful question is more specific. Which appliance, for how long, under what conditions, and alongside what other devices? That level of detail does not make backup power more complicated. It makes the decision more honest. For many households, a compact generator may be most useful as a focused emergency tool rather than a complete home power replacement. Its strength may come from supporting a small number of meaningful needs when the grid is unavailable. That can still make a major difference. A working light can reduce confusion. A charged phone can preserve communication. Refrigeration can help protect food and temperature-sensitive items. A powered router may maintain access to information if the internet connection itself remains active. The value comes from matching the system to the need. A compact generator should not be judged by whether it can imitate the entire electrical grid. It should be judged by whether it can reliably support the specific functions a household considers essential. There is a practical guide in the description for anyone who wants a more structured breakdown of compact home energy systems. Subscribe for more clear explanations about backup power, household energy, and emergency preparedness. The right system begins with realistic expectations, not the size of the box.